Colonel Myers back again. This time we're going to talk about a very useful thrusting method from rapier fencing called, in Italian, the Pasata Soto, in Spanish, the Pasada Baja. And it basically, in both languages, means to pass low. So, this is kind of a special case of the lunge. It takes you offline and to the opponent's right-hand side. It's usually used as a counter thrust rather than a primary attack, although I could fake high and bring his hands up and still pull it off. But it's really for somebody that's attacking on your high line, and it works especially well if somebody is doing a big sweeping blow like this, because from a Western perspective, we might consider this a duck. Consider it a ducking footwork with a thrust. And there's various ways to do it. The very basic one, which I work the best at, works the best for me, I guess I should say, is if I'm squared off, the blow is coming at me from this direction, I want to get under it and thrust into his rib cage at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to step across with this foot so that I'm already moving out of range as my hand is shooting forward, because remember the weapon leads the way. As my hand is shooting forwards, I'm stepping, and then as the point goes home, I drop my level like this. And this foot is coming up. If you're very flexible, you might be able to do this. I'm not that flexible, so just like I did with the basic lunge, I let this foot come up and float. So when I do the Pasata Soto, it looks like this. Step and thrust. Now I'm recovering back just so I can repeat it over and over for the camera frame. But remember, I've stepped, I've gotten out of the way, he's going in that direction, and my recovery is actually over there. So it looks like this. So again, if I slow it down, I'm shooting, I see something coming, I'm shooting and stepping, I'm hitting as I go down, and then I'm stepping out and recovering. And you notice this turn, I'm hitting, this is slipping through the ribs right into the liver. That's what you're really targeting. I could hit higher into the chest, I could hit lower into the belly. Those are less critical. If you put about 3 inches of blade right into that guy's liver, the liver is very vascular, it's going to bleed like stink. He doesn't have long to last. I put it into his chest, he can get a hemothorax. He can survive that pretty easily. I can put it into his gut. He can survive that pretty easily with modern medical care. But a big thrust into the liver, that's serious stuff right there. So again, this would be a pretty telling blow. And notice my hand is coming out like this, kind of like the Silver Surfer, because that really puts impetus and power into that thrust, right? So now, some of the other ways you sometimes see it is the blow is coming in and they'll step out like a normal lunge, right? But then they'll duck under and support this way. To me, that doesn't move you offline as well, but you'll see that in classical fencing, right? And then sometimes they'll switch it, where they'll step with this leg this way. This one's better because it's taking me offline, but I still think this one is the best. And James Keating showed one, it almost looked like a silat move, where he dives in and ends up on the ground with this foot behind the opponent's leg. So he's on the ground this way, and then kind of directs him to the ground over his foot. I can't do that one very well. Not nearly as good as Master at Arms James Keating. So I stick with the simple, what works well for me, which is this one. And that's the Pasata Soto. Okay, for the Pasata Soto, I wanted to show it as kind of how I train it, just on the fly, so to speak, where I've got time to move around. So I'm here, moving around, Pasata Soto, back again. Pasata Soto, out. Pasata Soto, out. Okay, That's my favorite version. I remember the other version we could be doing is where I step. See, my hand doesn't have to touch the ground. I've got that there for balance, and in case I hit hard resistance, he's running into my knife, I can catch myself and recover. Okay, so now if I bring Adrian in, again the idea here, we'll start with the bat. So this is a baseball bat, or back in the day, maybe a big sword swing, something where he's drawn up, he's taking a big swing at me. This is the most obvious place where this comes into play, because he's got all his momentum going that way. He's striking from a high line, so it's pretty easy for me to get under that and away. So we're here, as I see that coming, I'm hitting him and I'm out. And being gentle, I'm trying to go past the pad, even though he's wearing a pad, because with that, it can still be a pretty solid shot with his trainer. Slow it down. I can't do the other one as well as this one, but it would work this way. All right, I'm stepping out with this foot. Okay. Now, I'm going to put on my mask and have Adrian get his knife, and he's going to make legitimate snap cuts targeting my head. Okay? So he's doing a snap cut. Boom. Right? Again. Boom. Boom. Right? So that's how we functionalize it more. And notice for this drill, we're circling, because when I do the pasada, it's taking me to this side. So when he does the lunge, he has to follow my circle, so he's recovering in that direction as well. He's recovering, and so we're circling, right? You'll see we do the opposite with the incortada, okay?